So, what brings you joy? When responding to this question, I first thought you sort of need to know what joy is. Those words is out there, and I thought through my life and what I would consider joy, and I considered it's those times when you really feel alive in a good way, in a happy way. So I thought of those times that I felt that way, and there are a lot of them. And then I decided that I'd think through some specific ones. The first one I remembered, I was home at the farm with my mom. I was a preschooler, pretty young. And my mom had a hemorrhage from an ulcer, and it was a bad one. And even as a little kid, I knew something had to be done for her. And I remembered I knew how to call my aunt on the telephone, so I did that. And then I remembered the great relief when I saw my dad coming in response, driving up the road. I knew he would be able to take care of her. I thought of another time when I was a student in North Carolina, and I went to hear Handel's Messiah at the Duke Chapel. Now, the Duke Chapel, you think of chapel as being little. The Duke Chapel is not little. It's much bigger than this church. And it has a huge ceiling, and the acoustics are wonderful. So I listened to the Messiah played, and then when we got to the Hallelujah chorus, it was overwhelming. And now I understood why people stand at the Hallelujah chorus. You have no choice. It is so beautiful. I remember the birth of my two children. They're 3 years apart. And even after the labor and the pain and everything, it was all worth it, way worth it. They were so just to look at them and see their little baby bodies. I remember Kairos weekends where we've gone into the prison and there were people there who had done all sorts of things, like they were convicted of murder and robbery and drug trafficking and many things. But the Spirit moved within those prison walls and showed those people that they were and are beloved children of God. And despite whatever all they have been told much of their lives, they are worthy of God's love in God's eyes. I was a CASA volunteer in court. Now, CASA is a special advocate for children who are part of the court process. And in a family court proceeding, I broke down in tears. I was so joyful to see a family reunited that drugs had torn apart. I am here at St. Paul's because of joy. I came to the wedding of Georgia and Mike Clymer. And the overwhelming feeling of compassion and hospitality and so forth made me convinced this is the congregation I wanted to be part of. So looking back, I have 80 years to my credit. And so that kind of gives you perspective a little bit. So what is it that I think of as creating joy for me, bringing joy? It isn't material stuff. It isn't awards that I won, or personal achievements, or anything of that nature. It all comes back to love, to compassion, to kindness, to gratitude, those things, to faith. It is what gives meaning to life, to my life anyway. So, find your joy. Find your spark in life. Thank you.
Amen.